Hello, STEM YEA'ers. My name is Jared Isaacman. So I'm a business person. I'm a pilot. I've flown air shows. I've flown ex-military aircraft, and I'm also an astronaut. I was the commander of Inspiration 4, which was a mission to space just about 9 months ago. And I'm also the commander on a series of commercial space missions that are coming up, the first of which is going to fly later this year, called Polaris Dawn. And I'll talk a little bit about those. So let's start with Inspiration 4. So that was a mission that went to space 9 months ago. The mission lasted 3 days, and it was really important because it was the first time civilians went to orbit. So up until now, only nations, world superpowers like the United States, Russia, and China have sent human beings to orbit. And it's not going to stay like that. So space will not remain the exclusive domain of world superpowers. Space is going to open up, and someday it'll be accessible to everyone. But we got to start somewhere, and that's what Inspiration 4 was all about. So a big part of Inspiration 4 is right in its name, inspiration. We set out to inspire the world as to what is possible, not just for what we can accomplish in space, where we try and bring a little bit of science fiction to reality, because we do believe that the world is a more interesting place when people can journey among the stars, but also inspire people as to what we can accomplish here on Earth. And we did that by assembling a really special crew, and also raising an awful lot of money for an important cause here on Earth, which is St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. So let me tell you a little bit about the crew. So our medical officer, Haley Arsenault, had no idea she was going to be an astronaut. She was actually a childhood cancer survivor, and she grew up with her and had her dream job of becoming a physician assistant at St. Jude and help other kids going through exactly what she went through. She ultimately got picked to be our medical officer. She became the youngest American to go into space, which is pretty cool, the first pediatric cancer survivor to go into space, and the first person with a prosthetic limb, which is really interesting because up until now, space has only been available to like perfect human specimens, and if we're going to open it up for everyone, it can't be like that forever. Haley was a trailblazer in that regard. Our pilot, Dr. Cyan Proctor, had done everything throughout her whole life to become an astronaut. She is a true STEM professional. So she is a professor of geoscience. She is a scuba diver. She is a analog astronaut. It means she put herself through a lot of simulations here on Earth so we could learn about future long-duration spaceflight. She's a pilot. She's in the Civil Air Patrol. And she was a NASA runner-up to become an astronaut in 2009. She didn't make it then, but she never gave up on her dream. She also became an artist and a poet, and she was selected as part of Inspiration 4. She was our mission pilot. She became the first black female pilot of a spacecraft. Huge accomplishment. And our other crew member, in addition to myself, was Chris Simbrowski. And Chris was a space camp counselor, so he loved space from the time he was a kid. Huge STEM advocate. Chris grew up, joined the Air Force, started working on some of the largest rockets in the world, and then he flew on one of the largest rockets in the world with Inspiration 4. He was our mission specialist, and he was picked because he made a donation to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, a great cause. Had no idea he was going to get fitted for a spacesuit. He was randomly selected, and again, flew to space as part of Inspiration 4. And I said our goal to inspire was not just about what we could accomplish in space with this amazing crew. It was also what we can accomplish here on Earth. So as part of Inspiration 4, we raised over $250 million for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. And that's because we believe in order to make progress for the world we all want to live in for tomorrow, we have to take care of some of the real problems on Earth here today. And if we are going to live in a world someday where we have colonies of people on Mars and we have families bouncing up and down on the lunar surface, then we better have conquered childhood cancer along the way. And in order to make a mission like Inspiration 4 possible, it takes thousands of people, an army of very talented STEM engineers. You have people that are building the rockets. You have people that are designing the rocket engines, the propulsion systems, the navigation systems, the human interfaces, so we can live and function in space, because that's important. We did 3 days of science and research on orbit as part of Inspiration 4, and that's not possible with a lot of systems to keep us happy, healthy, and productive while we're in space. And one cool part of Inspiration 4 was that we went farther into space, past the International Space Station where we've been going for the last 20 years, past the Hubble telescope, which is pretty high up there. And this was symbolic because if we are going to get back to the moon and get to Mars, we got to take some important stops along the way. And that means getting a little bit more comfortable or getting a little bit outside our comfort zone, past where we've been historically, and achieve these important milestones as we work to, again, get back to the moon and get to Mars. So another element of Inspiration 4 is if we got this mission right and we opened up space beyond just world superpowers to everyday people, then imagine all the exciting missions to follow. Well, now we've got some exciting missions to follow, and it's called the Polaris program. And Polaris is a joint initiative with SpaceX, and it's up to 3 missions. 2 of those missions will be on Falcon and Dragon rockets, the same as we took up for Inspiration 4, the same that NASA astronauts use to get to the International Space Station. And those will be test and development missions, where we'll go farther into space in the highest Earth orbit ever flown, farther than we've gone since the last time people walked on the moon in 50 years. We're going to do a spacewalk with a brand new spacesuit. It's probably the first spacesuit designed for EVAs in the last 50 years. We're going to communicate over a new constellation of satellites, the speed of light, so that when we do get to the moon and we do get to Mars, we have a way to phone home and have good high-resolution conversations with our families, because that's a really long journey. So that's what we're going to do over the next 2 Polaris missions, the first of which is called Polaris Dawn, and we'll be launching to space later this year. And then the last mission will not be flown on a Falcon and Dragon. It'll be the first crewed flight of a brand new rocket, and that's going to be Starship, and it's going to launch on the Super Heavy booster. Now, this is really special because it's an entirely reusable rocket system, right? So this is important because if you're flying on an airplane to go to Disney World or go on a trip with your family, and then you throw away the airplane, it would cost an awful lot to go to Disney World, and that doesn't make sense, not when you're trying to open up space for everyone. So Starship is entirely reusable. You can have up to 100 people on it, and what's most impressive is that Starship will have the means to take human beings back to the moon, which we haven't been to in 50 years. And if we can get to the moon with Starship, we can cross our solar system, and we can, for the first time, put human beings on a planet other than our own, which is Mars. And this is really exciting. And this is happening all in our lifetime right now. So this is why STEM is so important, why you should continue to pursue this passion, because only things that we've seen in science fiction movies and read in science fiction books are starting to become a reality. We have rocket ships that go into space, and then they come and they land right back on ships in the ocean, and 2 weeks later, we put people on them and we fly to space again. We're about to move into starships, which I said is part of the Polaris program, where we could be doing that in hours instead of weeks. The rockets will go up into space, and then they'll come and they'll land right back on their launching pad. Like, this is incredible, but it's going to take a lot of scientists, a lot of engineers, a lot of pilots, a lot of medical professionals, a lot of software developers, basically all the exciting fields that a journey in STEM will take you. And when we have that army of resources of those really smart STEM professionals, we're going to be able to send people to Mars. We're going to be able to explore our solar system, and maybe unlock some of the mysteries of our universe and find some of the answers to questions we've all been thinking about since the beginning of humankind. And if you don't want to go to Mars someday and you don't want to be an astronaut, well, you can help put other people and infrastructure on Mars. You can work in mission control. You can design the software that makes the spaceship travel. You can design the engines. You can design, the recovery ships. There is so much opportunity, so much excitement right now in aerospace. So in any case, I'm super happy that you're interested in STEM, that you're pursuing this passion, and you never know where it could take you. There's a lot of exciting times ahead.